Greetings, salutations, namaste, shalom, assalamu alaikum, peace be with you. C. Jonathan Anderson here. So, we're looking at a drop in the bucket, giving you some things to contemplate, meditate, muse, keys and pearls, I hope, of wisdom. So when we started this little venture, I didn't alluded to rather, that I had a little bit of knowledge about the subject matter. This is loosely spirituality. So I'll give you a very short biography, and I like to have little teasers. So I'm going to give a little tease, and then I'll pick up a little bit later. So 22 years of ordained ministry, study of Christianity, Indian thought or Eastern thought, to include Hinduism, Buddhism, a little bit of Tao here or there, certainly the varieties of Christian orientation. Over 40-some years of social service delivery with both adults and juveniles. So I think that kind of gives me a little bit of experience and knowledge to delve into these various things. Still not concerned with or not using titles at this point in time, but that's kind of the short version, the, what do we call it, Cliff Notes version of C. Jonathan Anderson. I'll even tell you what the C is a little bit later. Now, let's go back to a drop in the bucket. Embrace silence. It's your teacher. Arrogance and ignorance are cousins. Don't invite them to dinner. Life changes when your mind changes. When we look through different lenses, things are different. Actually, we see perfectly. Anyway, it's about removing that plank and ... We're students in this realm. We neither pass nor fail. We simply learn. Most of this is straightforward, but we'll take a glance. I'll start in reverse. We're students in this realm. We neither pass nor fail. We simply learn. 20th and now 21st century motif gives us the idea of winning and losing, the idea of passing and failing, the difference. We augment ourselves. We adorn ourselves. We subjugate ourselves. We dominate others. We have these criterias of better and less. The real truth is, what don't kill you does make you stronger. You might hobble a little bit, but no, in all sincerity, what did you learn? There is no failure unless you don't jump back into the pool again. Get back up on the horse. All these kinds of things, that's real. There's not failure unless you just stop. What you find out when you don't complete something is where you are. Where am I? I didn't score this on the SAT. I didn't score that. All right. What do you got to do? Do you need to study more, party less, play less? What is it? It's not pass or fail. It's did I learn something? Life changes when our minds change. Then we look through a different lens. Things are different. Actually, we see perfectly. Anyway, it's about removing that plank. And the and part is What do you need to be working on? What is your perspective? Is it clearly black and white? And we can take that a lot of different ways. But for right now, I'm not doing the race thing. Is it yes? Is it no? Sometimes that's appropriate, but most times it's yes or no, or maybe a combination of the two. Yes on this part of the equation, no on the other part. There's a whole lot of gray area. We're told that gray area is indecisiveness. No, it's a time to think. It's a time to reflect. It's a time to look at, do my values match the situation that's being presented to me? When you change your mind, your mindset, things do look differently. If you look at someone else's perspective, don't just weigh it against yours. Understand that this is their perspective. Ask questions. What is that based on? Is it based upon your upbringing to include home, familia? What society begins to indoctrinate or teach you as a child? What have you learned as an early adolescent or an adult or senior? When you change your mind and look through someone else's lens, you do see things differently. And what you see in the present, that's your reality. It's yours. It's not Pop-Pop's or Mama's or Cousin Ricky or Auntie Sally. That's your reality. Own it and embrace it until it no longer serves you. Arrogance and ignorance are cousins. Don't invite them to dinner. Well, when you break bread, a couple things take place. First and foremost, hopefully, it's nourishment. Nourishment is not just biological or sustenance. You take in information. You take in energy. You take in water, air. If someone is arrogant, sure enough, they're probably ignorant. So I call them cousins. Don't invite them to dinner. You only invite people to dinner that you want to share with. You want to share your perspective. You want to learn their perspective. And then it's in exchange. But most importantly, you're inviting people that you have comfort with, that are family, either biologically or you adopted one another. In other words, you're in a safe place. Arrogance and ignorance are cousins. Don't invite them to dinner. Embrace silence. It's your teacher. Within the realm of Christianity, within Eastern thought process, there's a very high value on silence. The reason for that is that's where you hear from the divine. When you're silent, you're learning. Takes a moment, especially in this day and age, where there's very little silence. But embrace it. This is where you hear from yourself. This is where you hear from consciousness. This is where you hear from the spirit realm. We can break all those down later. But most importantly, silence is your teacher. Do embrace it. Now, we're in a time where everybody talks about breathing. Just breathe, just breathe, just breathe. How long can you hold your breath? If you're world class, maybe it's 5 minutes. Anyway, we can take breathing too lightly. We take it for granted. We can breathe intently and garner a higher high than any opiate on the planet can provide. We can breathe intently and shift dimensions. We can breathe intently and slow down as if dead. We can breathe a sigh of relief or have our breath taken away. We can breathe too lightly. We take breathing way too lightly. Now just breathe. It's called the breath of life. The breath of life. If we deal with multiple mythologies, mythos, Babylonian, Egyptian, Christian, there's that breath that's poured into us, making us what? A living being. Breath. It all starts with breath, right? I have experienced breathing techniques that have taken me to dimensions that I didn't think were possible just by breathing. Higher highs. I've sampled a few things in my day, but there's nothing like where breathing can take you. Breathing, 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 breathing. If you're upset, I do some consulting, I do some counseling, and when people are in a very vulnerable state where they're not thinking clearly, where they're emotional, whether that emotion is causing the tear ducts to overwork or rage, I tell people breathe, stop, and take some slow, methodical breaths. You end up centering yourself. You end up calming down. When you can control breathing, you not only have underwater situations different, but you can experience the water differently. You can experience a different calm. You can stay underwater longer. You can be in situations where you're mastering self. You can change molecules. You can switch around DNA, all through breathing. So, just breathe. Just breathe. Doesn't cost anything. Just breathe. Well, that's it for today. Peace, blessings, and grace. C. Jonathan Anderson signing out. Shalom.